Shubor nakaslem jong nongsan hima.
Ulam phang barem kayeng dorbar thau an uba bendo em lanong. Ulat ho ya kawai kakot kabala palat pat ba hagar phawai terek ukalalengkon kabadai kasngi rakhi jong kajing dapsan phosnem kajella. Ya kane kakot la palat pat ba da ulam phang kayeng dorbar thau an kajella uba met ba lengdo. Ya kane kakot la tho hakilai teliki kitien kata kakten khasi garo bat English. Habaya keren bat kilat pathai khubor uba bendo em lanong. Ulaya tho baya kane kakot la tho ban lom ye ki jingjia jong ki san phos nem menchwa shaphang ki nong yalam ki ba menchwa ki balaya khon ban penyo ya kajella bapura hakane kakot la tho ru shaphang ki nong yalam ki bala lenno nakane kasla perthai.
There's nothing in particular to talk about, but there is something in particular to distribute the book which was released by Honorable Speaker Ahmed Ba Lengdo on the 21st of this month in the Assembly premises. I must tell you that myself and Dr. Jemino Mathwa met the Chief Minister 1 week before the statehood anniversary. We met in his bungalow, where I handed over a copy of the book to him, and with a request that he will do the honor to release the book. This Golden Meghalaya, depicting the political events of Meghalaya from its inception, right from its inception till now. In fact, the Chief Minister he accented that he will release the book, but I think because of many other heavy programs and all that, so since the book was not listed in the program of the Chief Minister on the 21st, then immediately I requested the Speaker to kindly do the honor, and the Speaker released the book accordingly in the evening of the 21st January, where there was also a program to celebrate the anniversary, the golden anniversary of 50 years of the attainment of the statehood. So that was done within the premises of the Meghalaya Legislative Assembly, and the Speaker released the book formally in the evening of the 21st January, as I have already told you. You have released the book, we haven't got a copy of the book. So I said, okay, I will meet you separately, and this is the occasion, meeting you separately today, where I'll hand over the book to the media houses. So therefore, I'm grateful to you that you have responded, and that we are here even when the weather is cool. About this book, I'll just give you a very brief highlight. The book went back to the early years when Hill State movement was thought about, planned, and all that. And I have no comments to make, but just to report about the events that took place right from day one. See, the hill leaders comprising those areas right from North Kachar Hills, Karbi Anglong earlier, so the North Kachar Hills, I remember there was one minister also, Mr. J.B. Hagjar. Mr. J.B. Hagjar, he was Minister Assam. He was one of the leaders who was in this engagement to think about demanding a state for the hill areas. And then from Mizoram, then initially, even the Nagas were there initially, but they left, shortly after that. So finally it was left with leaders from North Kachar Hills, Mizoram, then Garo Hills, and Khasi Jainti Hills. So in 1954, there was an organization by the name of EITU, EITU, Eastern India Tribal Union, was formed in 1954, comprising leaders from those areas I had mentioned just now, North Kachar Hills, Mizoram, Garo Hills, Khasi and Jainti Hills. Then there's speculation about Assam dominating the proceedings of administration in the sense that they had the intention to impose Assamese language in all these areas. And according to history, there were other reasons also behind the thought for demanding the state of their own for the hill areas, like the prejudice by the Assam leaders towards hill areas, the ill treatment then, I'm talking about those areas, those years, and all that, by the then Assam government at that time, which they were not satisfied with the development programs and other programs enjoyed by people in the plain areas. So they felt, that discrimination by the Assam government then. And so that feeling gave vent to start demand for their own statehood. And that's how this EITU, Eastern India Tribal Union, came in 1954. And actually, as speculated by the hill leaders then, in 1960, October 1960, Assamese language was passed in the Assam Assembly, almost by midnight. And imposing the language to be read, to be spoken, to be used by everyone within Assam, including hill areas. I recalled also in this book I have written this book. I was, I think, in class 4 or class 5 at that time. I have read also Assamese in school. I remember my teacher at that time, Babu, he taught us. And very, very interestingly, I can't forget one sentence, which is of interest to me personally, and I can't forget that sentence. Manu Hanakai. It is in this book. I mentioned that. Manu Hanakai. That means human beings do not eat grass. So we have read Assamese when we were young in our schools also. So that was the case. We had an official language to be used in schools, to be read, to be spoken everywhere. And that's how the movement gained strength. That the APHLC, which was formed in July 1960, All Party Hill Leaders Conference, spearheaded the movement in a manner that it will be more aggressive. And so the demand began that Hill State should be given to demarcate, to get away from the undivided Assam. And in the meantime, leaders from North Kachar Hills, they gradually step away, also from Mizoram.
Mikir Hills also.
Yeah, North Kachar, originally Mikir Hills. So therefore, we were left with Garo Hills, Khasi and Jaintia Hills. Finally, we were left with Garo Hills, Khasi and Jaintia Hills. And so APHLC was formed, as I said, July 1960. And the Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, was a real leader, what his name, a father figure of the nation. He felt very greatly that imposition of the language on others who do not know anything, who do not belong to that culture, to that system, may not be reasonable. He had expressed that to some leaders in his own way. And therefore, he felt very seriously, and as a considerate person, a reasonable leader, he began to think about and started consultation for creation of the Hill State by bifurcating the areas for the hill areas. And in 1964, when he passed away, so it was left to the others who will be coming later. And after his death, a new prime minister came in, a small man with an iron will. You remember him? Very cool.
Lal Bahadur
Lal
Shastri,
Bahadur Shastri, a small man with an iron will.
very short.
He came in, but after 11 months, he also died. After 11 months, he also died while he was in the office of the Prime Minister. Then, when Mrs. Indira Gandhi took over as Prime Minister of the country, she followed the ideas and shared the thought of her father. So she also announced that it will be good to reshape Assam by cutting areas for the new hill state, and Meghalaya was formed. When she visited Meghalaya, when she visited Shillong on the 2nd of April 1970, here in Garrison Ground, and she announced, the autonomous state, for Garo Hills, Khasi Hills, and Jaintia Hills, known as Meghalaya. So that happened on the 2nd of April 1970, and in 1972, 21st January 1972, she herself came back to Shillong to upgrade the autonomous state into the full state status that was in Polo Grounds. So that's how we got the state. So this was, the contents in the book to know the history, to remind the generation of today and generations to come about how the statehood came into being and all that. So that was a brief history about the birth of the state of Meghalaya. Then, right from 1970, there was a provisional government which lasted only for 1 year plus. And in 1972, a formal statehood was inaugurated, and there was election also. First election as full state began in 1972. So every quinquennial term, 72 till 2018, I have mentioned separately. 1972 onwards till 2018, I have mentioned in this book, and also about the elections result, the election results, in which the different parties shared, polled in those elections, right from 1972, then on to 2018. Then which party formed the government, which parties jointly formed the government, and all that. All these things, plus the major political developments within these last 50 years. So I have tried my best to mention in this book, so that they will be of good help, and history will be there for the scholars, for the students, for members of the public in general, to know about how the state was formed, how the governments were formed, and all that. Briefly, But straight to the point, I have covered all those developments in this book. So there is a Khasi section, Garo section, but mainly English. Khasi the book is in English, and there is also Khasi section and Garo section. Then a few other things also you will find here of good taste, some humor also, political humor. You'll find that political humor also by politicians. You'll find here in this book, even the man spoke about about the politicians, of those days. So even the part of Tumo and Taman also is here. So in a light vein, people will not only feel bored to go through and read this book, but then in between there'll be attractions and all that. No one has replaced them today. Nobody has replaced them today. We have missed them. The tall figures, the knowledge, the mind, the heart, and the leadership of those leaders. My Captain Sangma was the first chief minister. He was minister also during Assam time. We had Mr. Hubar Nyota, wonderful person. You read in this book, wonderful person, very sharp, witty person. I was told by some of them who were with those leaders during those years. I'm very fortunate to have a few leaders. One of them is S.D. Khongir, who is still strong, with good memory. He's still there in Maulai. So from the beginning of the state, he was involved by S.D. Khongir. So I learned and I got a lot of information from him about Mr. Hubar Nyota, about his wits, about his knowledge, etc. Also Mr. Bibi Lyngdoh. I must tell you today, since you would like to know not only the question asked by one of you just now, perhaps you would like to know also about a few other things. I will tell you that Mr. Bibi Lyngdoh did not even have a house when he passed away. He used the government building, he used government cars, and he passed away in a government bungalow. I remember when he was out of power, he was MLA, but he was out of power, I think during the 89, 90, he stayed in a rented house in Laimukra, Bakilimpati. He stayed in a rented house. I did not remember, it didn't strike me then to ask how he stayed in a rented house in Laimukra main road. Later I realized that he did not have a house of his own. He stayed in government house. So also G.G. Swell had just the Assam type small house in Nongtomai. Hoping Stone Lyngdoh, he didn't have a house when he passed away. So we had those leaders of those years who really sacrificed themselves. I can say with confidence, they didn't know what corruption is all about, those leaders. A number of them. Not only that, other leaders also. We had good leaders like Captain Sangma, same person. Sarseng Marat. We had Edwinson Barre, we had Hadem Mahadem, then all that, from Gentiles, from Cassius, from a number of leaders. I'm just naming a few, but there are quite a number of other leaders also who had really proved the mettle as leaders of the people. So we miss them. We miss them. Comparatively with the leaders of today, not that I am critical about the leaders of today, but I'm just trying to give you a comparative study about leaders of those years and leaders of today. There's no comparison. I'm sorry to say, I will not go into details, but you find out. I can say with confidence, there's no comparison.